Our next talk will be by the Chief Operating Officer of Aramex, Iyad Kamal. Please.
Okay. How can I get my presentation on? Okay, good afternoon, and thank you all for being at this presentation. So this is the third time we actually present here at ArabNet, where we talk about the e-commerce trends and what's happening in the domain of e-commerce in this part of the world. So this year is not different. I will give you an update of what exactly is happening or what exactly happened within e-commerce throughout the last year. So I'll talk about business trends, I'll talk about payment-related issues, I'll talk about returns, which is an important thing that we continuously talk about every year. Then the new additions that I have this year is about social trends. So we analyze social media within Aramex, and that is directly related to e-commerce and B2C business. And then I'll give a 2-minute talk about some last mile optimization projects that we're working on that will help the industry and make, let's say, the e-commerce operational network more and more efficient. So when we look at business trends, this is how we analyze the data. So as you're aware, we handle millions of packages a year. So we have the e-commerce business, which is basically packages that we deliver on behalf of Souk, Sukkar, Marka, and the majority of e-commerce players in this part of the world. Then we have our shop and ship data, which is a product that you all know about. We have now, we're in 8 origins, whereby we ship internationally into this part of the world, which is a big chunk of business. So we mix all this data together, and we come up with our e-commerce report that I'm going to be sharing with you this year. The difference that I'm going to be looking at in the last, let's say, 2 previous years, is that this year, we're looking at MENA information versus international information. So usually, we look at e-commerce in totality. We look at all e-commerce business in the region, globally, shop and ship. We mix it together and come up with numbers. This year, we separated. We're looking at MENA business, which is everything that happens within the MENA region when it comes to shipments that Aramex handles, whether it's, let's say, cross-border within the MENA or it's domestic distribution within the MENA region. And we compare that with international e-commerce, which is business that comes in from from outside of the MENA region into the region itself. So this is a big distinction here. So there's MENA and international. Of course, in the international, we include shop and ship, because shop and ship is not a domestic or MENA product. It's an international product that comes, or service that we offer from around the world into the region. Now, the first finding that we have here, if you look at this chart, when we used to analyze the data for 2011, quarter by quarter, as you can see, again, I'm looking here at shipment growth, because this is what we handle. We deliver packages. So if you look at the e-commerce business in totality in this part of the world, 2011, there was a more or less good growth, and it was more or less a straight line. Look at 2012, it's another straight line, because that's where the boom, or let's say the start of the serious e-commerce started to happen, which was in the last probably 2 to 3 years. If you look at 2013, this is where we started seeing trends. And whoever here is in the e-commerce domain or sells products will more or less agree to this trend. So we can basically now, other than the fact that some of the e-tailers go out and do marketing campaigns that affect the trends, but if you look at the business growth in particular throughout the quarters, we will always see that there's a spike of business towards the end of the first quarter. You'll also see a spike of business, of course, at the last quarter, the fourth quarter. And then you have something called, I refer to you, the moving target. The moving target is basically Ramadan and the Eid season. So this is a moving target because, as you are aware, every year Ramadan goes down by 10 days. So that is where you'll see a hike in business from year to year. So this is something interesting where now us as Aramex, as a company, when we plan our capacity, this is what we look at. We look at trends, and we can more or less plan based on what's happening within the industry over a historical period of time. Another another piece of information, shipment growth. Again, we're looking at Mena, which is everything that happens in the e-commerce domain within this part of the world, and the international business that comes from outside of the Mena into this region. If you look at the Mena business, it grew last year, 2012 over 2013 by 100%. It doubled, which is very good. But if you look at the year before, it was 150%. So 2011, 2012 was 150%. This year it's 100%. But it's still double-digit growth. The 100% doubling your growth is very impressive. If you look at the international, it's 20%. Now 20% does not mean that it's not good. 20% is very good because if you look at Shop and Ship as a product that we deliver, Shop and Ship is a 14-year-old product. So it's a mature product. This is not something new. So it will keep on growing. Now what is important here, other than Shop and Ship on the international, we're going to be seeing, and this is something that we're witnessing, there's a lot of global retailers that are starting to sell into our markets. And this is something that we're going to be seeing in the next 2 to 3 years, whereby you'll have international global retailers starting to sell and promote their products in our market and ship international into this part of the world. So this is going to affect, of course, the percentages. To give you another example on this in particular, when we launched Shop and Ship in Germany. So we launched Shop and Ship 2 months ago in Germany, where we had, what's this on here? So 2 months ago, we launched Shop and Ship in Germany. So basically, this is where people can go online and buy from German sites, and we deliver to them here in this part of the world. Shop and Ship Germany is 2 months old. Shop and Ship out of Dubai as an origin is more like a year and a half old. Last month, Shop and Ship shipments out of Germany exceeded the number of shipments that move out of Dubai into the region. So this is very interesting, whereby there's a lot of e-commerce sites out there. The variety of products are vast out in the international scene, so we're going to see a lot of business coming out from the international scene. I think another finding here, as much as we love e-commerce in this part of the world, the number of e-commerce players is still limited. If you look around, if you look at the examples of e-commerce in this part of the world, we keep on talking about 4 or 5 companies. Okay? This is something that we seriously need to look into. And e-commerce, you cannot have an e-commerce industry with 5, 10, 20, 30 companies. We have to have thousands of e-tailers in this part of the world selling within the region. This is extremely important, and we have to be careful. And we have to promote, us as Aramex, governments, free trade zones, banks, we have to encourage this industry, make it very simple for e-tailers to pop up and sell in this part of the world. So this is something that we have to pay attention to, that an industry is not 5 or 20. An industry is when you have thousands of retailers selling in this part of the world, and we have the population that can buy products online. So it needs time, but we have to keep an open eye on that. Average weights. Now, some of you probably don't pay attention to the average weight per shipment, but for us, as a company shipping in packages, it's a very important indicator. If you look at the MENA region, average weight 2013, 2012 grew by around 40%, 36%, which is interesting. The growth of business within the region when it comes to weights grew by 36%. That means that they are either shipping rates are becoming more affordable, which is in the case in some instances where we were able to give better rates on heavyweight shipments. Secondly, there's a lot of stuff that is moving by land, which is also when you move things by land, it becomes you're not as price sensitive or cost sensitive. And thirdly, there's capacity on airlines. There's something that you need to pay attention to here, is that the amount of planes coming out in this region is just massive. Okay, and they need to fill the belly space of these planes. So I think what is happening is that whatever discounts we're able to get from airlines, we're passing along, and we started seeing this in the first quarter of this year. We're going to pass along over to the e-tailers so they can sell more. All of this combined affects the average weight per shipment. If you look at the international scene, there's a flat growth in weight per shipment because it's still price sensitive. It's still a price sensitive product. Largest markets, this is total e-commerce. We talked about this, and it didn't change over the last 2 years. The largest e-commerce market is Saudi Arabia. The second market is UAE. The third market is Egypt. So if you combine between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, that's 65% of e-commerce is within the MENA region. If you add Egypt to that, that's another 10%. You're talking about 75% of e-commerce is between three countries, which makes a lot of sense. But again, there's potential in other countries, but let's focus there. That's where the major e-commerce industry is. That's where the buyers actually are. The second subject I have is related to payments. So we talk about this every year. So what do people buy? The number one commodity that people bought in 2012 and 2013 is apparel, clothes. So it's the number one commodity, and represents 20% of e-commerce is apparel. If you look at 2012, the second commodity was electronics, then entertainment and books. If you look at 2013, electronics is no longer there. This is interesting because when you looked at the data, the reason why electronics was high in 2012 because of the launch of the iPhone 4S. So this is also the launch of new products in our markets. It affects the trend itself. So imagine in 2012, electronics was there. 2013, it wasn't there. If you look at beauty supplements, which is on third category in 2013, this is directly related to shop and ship, by the way. We never were able to ship beauty and creams and perfumes out of the US in particular on shop and ship because it was considered to be dangerous goods. As we came up with a process for that, where we now ship, automatically it went up the list and became one of the top products that are being purchased by people in this part of the world. So this is interesting. Apparel, again, is number one. Value of goods. MENA, the average value per product is $110. And this more or less doesn't change over year. It has been like this for the last probably 2 years, plus or minus 5%. International, it went down down to $75 in 2013. The main reason for that, it was 87 in 2012 because of the iPhone effect. Because there was a lot of iPhones, high value, affects the value for goods, automatically it affects the numbers here. Okay? Of course, another important factor of why the value of shipment in the MENA is higher than it is international because of customs. A lot of the MENA stuff is domestic. There's no customs, so people buy higher value products and they're not worried about the customs duties that they pay. COD versus credit card, it's a COD market. We all admit, we have the big guys here, it's a COD market. If you look at also the big e-tailers, they promote COD now bluntly. You go to their site, COD service, which is fine. We have to live with the fact that COD is part and parcel of the e-commerce industry in this part of the world. And strategically, as Aramex, we are creating systems, investing in infrastructure to accommodate further for the COD business in this part of the world. Okay, so that's important. What we're going to be seeing also is that you don't be surprised in the future to see international e-tailers selling COD into this part of the world. That should be coming very soon, because if the market is COD, the e-tailer is not going to come and say, I only accept payment online. No, they will start offering COD, and we're seeing that happening in the next couple of years. Talking about Saudi Arabia being the largest e-commerce market, if you look at the composition of orders, where are the people situated in Saudi Arabia when they buy their products? So the people who buy from within the MENA region, from basically local e-tailers, 70% of those orders go to the main cities. 30% go to outside of the main cities. So they go to Jeddah, Riyadh, Dhahran. 30% goes to the beyonds or outside of those cities. If you look at the international, which is more or less a non-COD business, 90% go to main cities, and only 10% go to outside of the main cities. What this tells us that the MENA customer profile that e-tailers are selling to versus the international customer profile differ. It's a different profile. People who have credit cards are different than those who don't. COD is higher in beyonds than they are in locals. So this is a fact that whoever sets up an e-commerce site needs to know that a lot of their business is going to go to outside of the main cities in Saudi Arabia when they offer CODs. A survey, we asked customers, one of the challenges is why is COD so important for you in Saudi Arabia? So we did a survey about 800 clients, and we asked them, why do you prefer to pay cash than credit card? 35% we don't have a credit card. Imagine, this is Saudi. 35% said we don't have a card. 25% said it's easier to pay cash. Khalas, it's comfort. Why should I pay for something when I can wait for Aramex to deliver it to me, and then I can see, you know what, I can make my decision on the spot there, whether I want it or not. Okay, there's a hassle doing that, but that's reality. 18% don't trust online payments, very important. There's a lot of people, around 20% say, I don't trust to pay online using my credit card, okay? Topic number 4, returns. I still need about 3 minutes. So returns, you have to live with returns. When we talk about returns here, we have to distinguish between operational returns and product returns. What I refer to when we talk about logistics is the operation returns, saying basically, when I go to a client and I have a shipment from Souk, Sukkar, whoever, and they tell me to deliver the package to that client, and I can't. Either because the top 2 reasons for returns, logistical returns, are number 1 is they refuse it. Khalas, they don't want the product anymore. That's the number 1 reason. The second reason is that I can't contact the consignee. Imagine, I have everything from the consignee. The e-tailer would have confirmed everything. I just cannot contact the consignee. So those are the main 2 reasons for returns. And we have to, whoever sets up business, e-commerce business in this part of the world, you have to expect that you're going to have 20%, 15 to 20% operational returns, whether you like it or not. When it goes down to non-COD business, it goes down. Okay, so if you look at the COD versus non-COD and returns by payment type, if you pay online, the return rate is 7%. If you pay COD, the return rate goes up to 21%. So as much as we would love to have payments online, it reduces our return rates, it becomes more operationally easier, but the reality is it's still a COD market. Another fact, on COD, the number of delivery attempts, so we go and try to deliver the package. On average, it takes us up to 2 times to deliver the COD package. Between 1.8 and 2 times to deliver the package. And if he paid by credit card, it's a one-time. I go, I deliver, he accepts the package. Why? Because he paid the cost of the goods. And if seldomly do we go and deliver a package to the consignee, and he says, you know what, I don't want it, what you paid for it, why I don't want it? So he accepts it. And this is why shop and ship is a pure cash business, 0 returns, because it's all paid online. You paid for the cost of the goods. But on COD, there is a factor of inefficiency, which is 2 times trying to deliver and attempt to deliver the package. Not only that, even after we confirm deliveries, imagine, we call the consignees, we confirm the delivery address, we could schedule a delivery time, 9% of those packages come back. Okay? So COD is important, we all love it, but it has issues, and we have to work together to solve them. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done, by the way, between us as a logistics company and the e-tailers. This is not only an Aramex problem or inefficiency. This is something that we have to closely work with the e-tailers on, and which we are. Finally, let me talk about some social trends. So now this is the first time we analyze the type of request we get at Aramex when it comes to social media. Okay? This is all related to BTC business. 53% of the requests that we get on Twitter are from Saudi Arabia, being the largest market, but 53%, imagine. Then you have Kuwait, UAE. Imagine, Kuwait is not the largest market in e-commerce, but they're very vocal when it comes to social media, which is an interesting fact. Then you have UAE, other countries, and the rest of the GCC. On Twitter, we compare between positive and negative. On Twitter, 5% of the tweets that we get are positive, 78% are neutral, 18% are negative. More or less, Facebook is the same thing. This is how the type of social media requests that we get. If we break it down by category, on Twitter, 58%, 60% of the stuff that we get on Twitter are customer service related. And 30% are conversational. If you look at Facebook, it's not like that. On Facebook, 78% of the stuff that we get on Facebook is customer service related because it's very easy to post something on Facebook. It's not like Twitter. If you look at the conversational part, only 5% is conversational, which is a big difference there. Finally, I'll talk to you about last mile solutions, and this is also related to efficiencies. We were talking about the process of that we need to take when we call customers to confirm deliveries. We have to call the customer, get the address, confirm the delivery. This is all done by call. We do about 54,000 calls a day, by the way, in Aramex. Okay? About 80% of those calls are related to e-commerce shipments, confirming addresses and scheduling deliveries. We launched a new application whereby we no longer call the customer. We send the request directly to the mobile of the person. There's an application. He clicks on a hyperlink. It takes him to something called my address at aramex.com, and he does it all online. Within 3 months, we converted 30% of the calls were converted online. So this is where we have to invest jointly in mobile technologies because that's where the conversion is. And our target is by October to convert 50%. So imagine how much efficiencies I have there. Instead of calling, it's all done online. Finally, another product, this is something that we were displaying outside, by the way. We signed a joint venture last month with a pretty big company called InPost in Poland. They're our JV partners. And we're going to launch lockers in the region, whereby instead of us delivering to your home or to your business, or you pick up from us, we can deliver to a locker. These are going to be tens and tens of lockers scattered around, whereby you can say, I want my shipment delivered to the locker in DIFC. You go to the locker, it's like an ATM machine, you have a PIN code, you enter the PIN code, it opens up the locker, and you take your shipment. Okay? This is efficiency. Okay? It's a major investment for us, but that is where this is where the future is going to, whereby how can we minimize the cost on the client and pass over their savings to you, by the way. Passing over their savings to you to be able to offer an effective solution. Just to give an example, it's not only about how much can we save on cost. There are sustainable effects of that locker. To give you an example, the traditional courier at Aramex drives around 150 kilometers a day. In the lockers, it goes down by 70. If you look at CO2 emissions, 300 grams versus 14. So look at the effect, other than the fuel consumption per parcel. So there is an operational efficiency effect, and there's also a sustainability effect that you're going to be seeing while we introduce these lockers in the market. Thank you very much.